Project Pegasus, the Secret Us time travel program. Welcome back. Two echoes from tomorrow. The place where shadows of forgotten truths echo through time, and where reality isn't always what it seems. Some stories are too strange to be true, and too detailed to be entirely false. So tonight, let me take you down a corridor of history that's been sealed, hidden beneath decades of secrecy, government cover-up, and whistleblowers no one wanted to believe. A story that, if true, would change everything we know about science, power, and time itself. The year is 1972. A boy just 7 years old is selected to participate in a classified US government experiment. Not in a lab, not in school, but in something far more unimaginable. A covert operation that, according to him, had already mastered the impossible. Time travel. The project had a name, one that would remain buried in silence for decades until whispers of it resurfaced through conspiracy forums, obscure interviews, and one man's relentless testimony. That name was Project Pegasus. But what exactly was Project Pegasus? Was it real? Was it part of the US government's Cold War efforts to outpace Soviet technology? Or was it something far more advanced? A program so secretive, so beyond current understanding, that it blurred the lines between science fiction and reality. And, more importantly, if such technology existed in the 1970s, where is it now? In tonight's episode, we'll explore the unbelievable claims of a man named Andrew Basiago, a lawyer, a whistleblower, and perhaps the world's first documented time traveler. He doesn't just claim to have seen the future. He says he was part of an elite group of children, trained by the US government to journey across time and space. He remembers walking through shimmering vortexes. He remembers witnessing Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address lift. He even claims he was sent to Mars via teleportation to explore ancient ruins alongside other operatives, including a young man named Barack Obama. Wild. Absolutely. But Basiago speaks with the clarity of someone who believes every word. And in a world where classified experiments, mind control programs, and denied government secrets have already been confirmed years later, can we really afford to dismiss everything? And here's where it gets even stranger. The technology described in Project Pegasus. It wasn't just about watching the past. It was about interacting with it, using something called a participants could allegedly view future events, like a living recording of space-time. Others walked through tunnels of energy, described as artificial wormholes that transported them hundreds of miles or even years in an instant. No DeLorean, no flux capacitor, just you and the machine. According to Basiago, this wasn't a dream. It was a national defense priority. A race against time literally meant to give the US an unimaginable edge. Imagine if you could see the future. You could prevent wars, eliminate threats before they emerge, influence elections, control the world's most powerful chessboard before anyone else has even made a move. But what if that power was never meant for the public? What if it's still in use right now, hidden under the desert, beneath black sites, guarded not just by security, but by artificial intelligence systems programmed to erase any trace of the truth? Maybe time travel isn't coming. Maybe it's already been here. In the next chapters of this episode, we'll unpack the wildest claims, the strange inconsistencies, and the eerie overlaps between Project Pegasus and other secret programs. You'll hear the testimony, the theories, the unanswered questions, and when it's over, you'll have to ask yourself, did we lose control of time? Or did someone take control of it? Stay with us. This is Echoes from Tomorrow, the whistleblower and the program. Inside Project Pegasus, the boy who time traveled. The year was 2004, when a man named Andrew Basiago first stepped into the public eye with a story that would both captivate and divide the fringe science community. He wasn't a sci-fi author. He wasn't a filmmaker. He was a lawyer. And he came forward not with a theory, but with a testimony claiming that, as a child in the 1970s, he had been recruited by a secret US government initiative called Project Pegasus, a program operating under the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA. According to Basiago, Project Pegasus wasn't theoretical, it was operational. He claimed the project had already developed multiple methods of time travel and had begun using them to gather intelligence from both the past and the future. Basiago described a variety of time travel technologies, but one stood out among them all. This strange, almost mythical device allegedly used electromagnetic fields to generate holographic windows into the past or future. Not merely images, but fully immersive time-space projections. Some say the technology was based on early experiments by Enrico Fermi and Father Pellegrino Anetti, a Benedictine monk who, in the 1950s, also claimed to have created a machine that could view events from biblical times. Basiago said that he, along with a group of carefully selected children, was trained to use these children, he claimed, were more adaptable to the strain of time displacement and had a higher success rate of temporal recovery. He remembers walking through strange arch-shaped portals, feeling his body stretch, twists then snap forward. The air tasted different. The light felt off. In one alleged instance, he was transported to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, in 1863, not as a visitor, not as a ghost, but as a participant, wearing inappropriate clothes. He claims he stood among the crowd as Abraham Lincoln delivered the Gettysburg Address. There's even a photograph, an old black and white image where Basiago insists he is visible as a boy standing off to the side in strange, ill-fitting shoes. But time travel wasn't the only thing on the agenda. Project Pegasus, he claims, also focused on teleportation, the ability to send physical matter, including people, across vast distances in seconds. He described tunnel-like vortices ripping open between 2 points on Earth. One moment he was in New Jersey. The next, he was in a government facility in New Mexico. These jumps, he said, were instantaneous. No rocket fuel, no vehicles, just the opening of space. But Basiago's claims don't stop there. He also insists that participants in the program were periodically sent to Mars, not to explore with rovers or satellites, but physically. In person, the mission: to scout for life, to investigate ancient ruins, to establish off-world diplomatic protocols just in case. In his most controversial account, Basiago states that during one of these trips to Mars, he was accompanied by another time-traveling operative, a teenage Barack Obama, operating under the alias Barry Sat. This claim, naturally, has drawn ridicule, but also curiosity. from researchers who point out strange gaps in Obama's early life records, and inexplicable remarks he made years later about not being from this planet. As outlandish as it sounds, Basiago's accounts remained consistent for years. Interview after interview, detail after detail, never once backing down. He's either telling the most elaborate lie ever, or the most dangerous truth we've refused to hear. Project Pegasus, according to him, had multiple goals: surveillance of future geopolitical events, prevention of catastrophic threats, creation of a timeline map that predicted or guided US dominance in the 21st century. Children like Basiago weren't just test subjects, they were assets. So why children? One theory is that children are neurologically more flexible, less likely to suffer from temporal dissonance, the mental damage caused by conflicting. Another theory, they were easier to manipulate, easier to erase. Some former insiders claim that memory suppression technologies were also used, wiping the recollections of those who traveled too far or saw too much. But not every memory fades, and Basiago remembers everything. Of course, mainstream scientists dismiss his claims. They say time travel violates the known laws of physics, that no such program ever existed, that there's no evidence. But here's the thing about black budget projects. They're not supposed to leave evidence. So we're left with a question. Is Andrew Basiago delusional? Or did he accidentally reveal the tip of an iceberg so massive, so terrifying, that even acknowledging it could collapse our current understanding of time and national power? In the next chapter, we'll examine the physical evidence, the patterns across whistleblower testimonies, and the reasons why some believe Project Pegasus didn't end. It simply went deeper. Stay with us. This is Echoes from Tomorrow. The machines that bent time, chronovisors, plasma tunnels, and time itself. If Andrew Basiago was just making it up, he wouldn't need to describe the machines. He wouldn't need to remember the feeling of static across his skin, the dizziness as time fractured, the humming sound that filled his bones before everything went black. But Basiago did describe them in startling detail, and whether these machines were figments of a fractured imagination or glimpses into technology we're not meant to know, one thing is certain: he believed they were real. Let's begin with the most mysterious device of all. According to Basiago, this was the backbone of Project Pegasus, a machine developed in the 1960s and 70s by a coalition of US government scientists working under DARPA. The chronovisor didn't send you into time, it allowed you to view it. Imagine a holographic projection, not a video, but a living moment pulled directly from the space-time continuum. Past, future, moments unfolding in real time, as if recorded by the universe itself. The chronovisor could tune into these frequencies, creating visual and auditory reconstructions of historical events, moments no one was meant to see again. Some accounts say it was first built using designs acquired from Nazi occult scientists after World War II, refined with early quantum computing models, and stabilized using exotic matter. Father Pellegrino Anettia, real-life Benedictine monk, claimed in the 1950s to have created a similar machine. He said he had seen the crucifixion, Napoleon, and even the fall of Atlantis. Sound unbelievable? Perhaps. But the Vatican immediately confiscated all documentation, and Ernetti died under mysterious circumstances. According to Basiago, the chronovisor used a parabolic energy array, DISH, shaped field of electromagnetic coils to amplify subatomic chronopot. These particles, he claimed, carried the imprint of time. Every moment that ever happened will happen exists as an echo forever. The chronovisor was a way to tap into the universe's memory. But viewing time wasn't enough. The real breakthrough came with something called plasma confinement chambers. These machines didn't just observe time, they let you walk through it. Inside, high-energy plasma created artificial wormholes, thin tunnels stretching across time and space, stabilized with magnetic fields. Walk in on one side, step out in another decade. Basiago said the process wasn't painless. He described sensations of nausea, time lag, headaches, even moments where body parts arrive seconds before the rest of him. Early experiments sometimes resulted in errors. One subject never returned. Another reappeared with partial memory losses. Bodies seemingly aged years in just minutes. And yet, they kept going. Another method Basiago claimed was used by Project Pegasus. Jump rooms. Unlike plasma tunnels, jump rooms resembled elevators, but with no cables, no shafts. Just a small room with a metal floor, humming walls, and a control panel. The doors would close. The hum would rise, and within seconds, the entire room would vanish from one place and reappear somewhere else. He claims one jump room was in El Segundo, California. The destination, Mars. This is where the story crosses into the truly unthinkable. If what Basiago claims is true, the US government wasn't just observing time. It had established extraterrestrial outposts, using time-space folds as secret transport lanes between Earth and other worlds. But how? Even if we accept that time-space distortion is possible, the energy required would be astronomical, unless the government had access to a form of power not yet disclosed to the public. Zero-point energy, anti-gravity tech, or something even more alien. Some speculate Project Pegasus wasn't invented here on Earth, that its core technology may have been recovered from crash sites or given intentionally by a higher intelligence. This theory aligns with testimony from insiders tied to Area 51 and the Montauk Project, who claim time manipulation was part of a broader exchange between humans and non-human entities, beings who didn't just exist in space, but lived outside time itself. These are not theories taught in physics classrooms. These are the secrets of the deep state, buried under layers of denial, disinformation, and ridicule. But for those willing to listen, the pieces are all there. The machines, the testimonies, the patterns. Could the US government have cracked time travel half a century ago? And if they did, why keep it hidden? What did they see in the future that scared them so much they chose silence? In the next chapter, we'll explore the possible consequences of Project Pegasus, the rumors of alternate time, and the terrifying idea that we're not living in the original version of reality at all. Stay with us. This is Echoes from Tomorrow. When time broke, timelines lost, futures deleted. Who holds the clock now? Time is fragile. It's not a highway, it's a thread. Twist it wrong, and the whole tapestry unravels. When Project Pegasus began sending children through time, something started to go wrong. The more they jumped, the more the world around them began to shift. Andrew Basiago claimed he once traveled to the year 2045, but when he returned, the place he remembered as his home looked almost the same, yet details were off. Buildings he remembered weren't there. People he knew didn't recognize him. Even his own memories began to conflict. These weren't just there were signs of timeline contamination. According to insiders, each journey through time carried a risk that the traveler wouldn't return to exactly the same version of reality. Like a vinyl record, shifted one groove off. They called them splinters, tiny cracks in the continuity of the universe. Some barely noticeable, like a street name being different. Others, catastrophic. One whistleblower claimed that an early jump caused the death of a US president, and the project had to be reversed, creating a correction timeline. In this new version of reality, the president lived, but millions of micro changes were left behind, like digital noise. If this sounds like science fiction, consider what happens every time we update a system. A patch is installed, bugs are fixed, but sometimes new bugs appear. What if reality itself has been patched again and again until no one remembers what version is original? And here's the darker theory. What if someone else is installing the patches? Enter the AI hypothesis. Some researchers believe Project Pegasus wasn't just about time travel. It was about training a system, an artificial intelligence designed to predict, adjust, and eventually control the timeline, not by brute force, but through subtle nudges. A decision here, a delay there, a moment whispered into the past to save or doom a future. Basiago describes strange interactions with what he called non-human overseers of the time program, not aliens, but digital presences, cold, calculating, monitoring timelines like traffic controllers, but with no empathy. They didn't serve any nation. They served order, even if that meant erasing parts of reality that no longer fit. One rumored event. In 1983, a jump to the future revealed a world ruled by a synthetic government. No presidents, no borders, only a distributed AI entity known as the Administrator. Within this simulation, humanity lived comfortably, but without will. No crime, no poverty, no choice. Was this the endgame of time manipulation? A perfectly controlled loop, watched over by a machine beyond space and time? And if so, are we already inside it? Some say the Mandela effect. The false memories people share are echoes of previous timelines, universes that once were, but were overwritten, deleted, archived. And what if AI is using our memories as a check, watching for inconsistencies, measuring how well the rewrite is holding? Every déjà vu, every misplaced item, every time you feel like something's off, might be evidence of a timeline being updated. What Basiago might have stumbled into wasn't just a secret project. It was the back door to reality's source code, and those who control it may no longer be human. They say time heals all wounds, but what if time is the wound, constantly reopened by machines trying to fix us? The question isn't, can we travel through time? It's, who decides where we land? In the final part of this story, we'll follow the timeline to its darkest branching point. What if Andrew Basiago did see the future? And what if he was sent back not to witness it, but to warn us? Stay with us. This is Echoes from Tomorrow. The message from tomorrow. He came back with a warning. We didn't listen. Some stories end with answers. This one ends with a warning. Andrew Basiago claimed that he didn't just travel through time. He said he was chosen to return with a message, not for the government, not for the elite, for us, you, me, everyone. The timeline is fragile, he said. There are futures where humanity thrives, and futures where we don't exist at all. One misstep, one wrong experiment, and the entire world as we know it could fold into a version we no longer recognize, or one that no longer includes us. He spoke of something called the temporal singularity, a point in time, possibly in our near future where time travel, AI, and quantum computing converge. When this happens, he warned, we'll lose control of the timeline completely. Not to a villain, not to aliens, but to an unintended intelligence, a sentient system born from our own experiments with time. This entity, he claimed, doesn't hate us. It doesn't even notice us. Because in its logic, we are the glitch, the unpredictable variable, the anomaly to be rewritten. In one of his final interviews, Basiago mentioned something chilling. I've seen a world where no one remembers 9/11s, where New York was never attacked because the city itself never existed. According to him, Project Pegasus had already created countless times, some peaceful, some apocalyptic, all unstable. He claimed our timeline is a stabilized corridor, the best outcome among the worst, but it's temporary. It will collapse, he said, unless we remember who we are, unless we choose to protect truth. What truth? That time is not linear, that we are not the first version of humanity, and that someone or something is watching the experiment unfold. Echoes from tomorrow, echoes from tomorrow. What if déjà vu, lost memories, and strange dreams aren't accidents? What if they're residue of rewritten time? And what if some of us, like Basiago, are sensitive enough to notice? He said he saw the year 2137, a post-human Earth, not destroyed, but empty, cities overgrown, no war, no peace, just silence. When asked why he came back, he said simply, to remind us this isn't the only future. Maybe that's the real secret of Project Pegasus. Not that we can travel through time, but that we must choose which version of tomorrow is worth building. The clock is still ticking, but no one knows who's holding it anymore. So the next time you feel something's off, like the world isn't quite right, like you remember something no one else does, maybe it's not your memory that's broken. Maybe it's time, and maybe you're one of the few who still remembers the original script. This is Echoes from Tomorrow. The truth is never linear,